please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, for the 7 of us present, welcome to the June 13th Tiverton School Committee meeting. There's no one to ask if anyone is signed up for open forum, so I'm assuming no one is signed up for open forum. Because it would have to be one of us. I can ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any opposed? Okay. We are on item 5A, new business capital project update, stage 2 submission to RIDE. Possible vote, Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in your packet, we have a revised document showing the capital projects that we've been working on and trying to narrow that scope down for possible stage 2 submission. Earlier today, the building committee met, and we went through the list and added some thoughts to it all. And in the end, the building committee voted that the total would be $12 million. And that's what they're recommending to the school committee. So $12 million means over 5 years, you'd have to go half, so 6. But also know that even if you spent 6, you're going to get 2 back on a reimbursement. So you're really down to about $4 million on a commitment over 5 years. So almost less than $1 million necessary to sustain this. And then one on that committee felt that that would be a good submission. On the document you have, there's a column labeled FY1. Those are all the priority items that we had gone through, both with the building committee and with the administration. It's a little higher. It's about 13.6 million. So it was left that the administration will meet next week and bring this down to 12 million. So I would say there's no, well, I don't know, I'll leave it to you, Mr. Chair, if you want to take a reaffirming vote on that 12 million, or if you want to just wait for it to come back to you.
I think, let me gloss it a little bit for Mrs. Pavo and Mr. Dakotas. So basically, if you look at the report, there's a number of different items. The priority items in what are labeled as FY1, not that they're going to be done that year, came to about $13 million, or 13.2, I think, 13.3, or 13.6. What was it? I have it in front of me.
13.3.
So at any rate, after the discussion, so what we would need to do, so again, I always find it useful to sort of lay out the process so that I understand it myself. So in order to get reimbursement from RIDE, we need to submit a stage 2 request. You can do that twice a year. The next time we're coming up is in September. And right now, the only approved project we have right now is the locker rooms that we can get reimbursement for. So this next submission will allow us to get reimbursement for any of those projects that we actually undertake. The total submission, the total cost of the projects submitted doesn't mean that you're going to do those projects. It means that you are obliged to do at least 50% of those projects over the course of 5 years. So if we make a $12 million submission, that means over the course of 5 years, the town and the school district would be obliged to do $6 million worth of projects. And as Dr. Sanchioni was pointing out, about 40% of that would actually be returned to the town through, from RIDE, so that the overall outlay over 5 years would be about $4 million. It's important that we vote to do this, sometime in the next several weeks, is that we also have to go before the town council to because they have to be in agreement that we're going to do that. And again, it doesn't mean that you're obliged to do the full $12 million. You're obliged to do about half of it. And you also have to declare the funding mechanism at the time that you make the stage 2 submission. And again, the stage 2 submission is most important because you then, that then is what allows you to get the reimbursement from RIDE. So we can do that tonight. The building committee said that, we should do $12 million in the submission, not the 13.3. And what we take out of that ultimately will be based on the administration and the meeting with the principals. I could make an argument that we should wait until they've done that before we actually do vote on that, so that we know exactly what the projects are. But, you guys are the other two voters tonight, so you tell me what you want to do. You can ask questions, you can take that as sufficient explanation, or you can make a motion.
I would feel more comfortable if we waited till we had at least one more member of the board here to vote.
Okay.
I don't know how
I
you
think
feel.
that's a reasonable position.
I think I'd have to agree and let our other two peers have a chance to ask questions.
Right. And, again, we'll know what gets pulled out of the 13.3 million to bring it down to 12 million. And,
Yep.
ultimately, the building committee's recommendations to the school committee are just that, they're recommendations. We may
don't have to
say.
abide by their
No, we are the authority ultimately to make the recommendation to the town council, who then has to sign on to this. So you have to have both branches of government, if you will, involved and committed to it. The $12 million wasn't pulled out of thin air either. It would amount to somewhere between $1 and $1.2 million per year over 5 years. Assuming people continue to gamble with the appetite that they seem to be gambling, then that would be revenue, I think, from the casino that we could, sort of say, okay, that seems to be about where we're, where the commitment is right now on the part of the town. Of course, school committees can change, town councils can change, legislatures can change. We just have to make the decision in this single point in time. Any other discussion on the part of any of the school committee members present? Mr. Kotis?
Can I ask Dr. Sanchioni about athletics? Do you mind?
Sure. It's all up for
Page 11
discussion.
on mine. So I think it's the last page of that.
Yep.
Yep.
So the second line item is install artificial turf, and then it says HSMS ? I would assume synthetic artificial turf will go to the high school. Does the middle school mean more of it over there additionally for the practice field?
Not at that cost. I think that was the debate we were having about how deep we wanted to go with this, and that's why you have the question mark after MS.
Okay, so that 900,000 projection is probably just for the high school?
Yeah.
So, okay.
900,000 projection? I have 6.
Well, no,
Oh,
the column over 675 is.
yeah. So,
So-
Mike,
sorry.
the column you have to look at, and I don't know if it's green in yours, that's good.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's the column that's in green.
Right.
Those are the projects and the costs that would be in the stage 2 submission.
Okay.
Okay.
And the track doesn't meet interscholastic league guidelines, so that would have to basically be all redone?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah, it's got a lot of significant water damage and ruts, and the lines are not there
Okay.
anymore. So-
Okay. The baseball
Peter,
and
you
the
may want to make
softball.
sure you're speaking into your mic. I think some of us are not picking up too well.
Any better?
No, actually, you were beautiful.
Okay.
It was Peter.
Did you hear that? He said I was
I heard
beautiful.
that. I did.
I don't hear that. Thank you.
Were, past
Thank you,
tense.
Dr. Larkin. The
tense.
baseball and softball and fields,
Yes,
are those the middle school? It doesn't say if it's high school or middle school.
that is the high school.
Those are the high school
Yes.
fields. Got it. And the last one is the permanent bleachers, lower field high school. Lower field would be the baseball field,
Baseball field, correct.
because there's nothing down there.
Exactly.
And then upper field would be for the softball field?
Yes.
Or for additional football?
Install permanent bleachers in the upper.
I don't see bleachers. Where's bleachers?
That would be, nope, that's the stadium on the
Here.
visitor side.
Okay.
On the visitor side of the football. Got it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Those are not cheap.
No,
$235,000.
So Mike, the install permanent bleachers is not in the stage 2? That would be?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just asking for where they are. So
okay.
just so I know for the future. So next year,
we'll make sure we label these.
upper field high school. I just didn't know if that meant the softball field, the baseball field, the football field. Okay. And the
Yep.
last one, I swear, what is field netting?
For the lacrosse. So that when they shoot at the net and they miss, those balls are like rockets.
Ah,
and they
got
go-
it. Okay,
So it's a
interesting.
safety thing.
Okay, all right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, I went through everything.
Okay.
I asked all your questions.
No, I just,
All right, so I think, we should bring that back at our meeting in July, or we could discuss having another meeting in June. We were sort of at some point penciling in the 27th.
okay.
Okay, next is item 5B, approve contract for OPM Peregrine Group, possible vote. Dr. Sanchioni?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as Dr. Larkin has already mentioned, we have one approved project for RIDE, which is the locker room project here at the high school. You've seen the estimates on that. Currently at 2.2 million, 1.9 million was an earlier estimate, but my point being with the estimate is any project above $1 million, RIDE requires an OPM owner's project manager. Owner's project manager is someone who works on our behalf with the construction. They're our oversight person. They have expertise in all the systems, all the design, and the idea is that they'll hold it to a high-quality design and high-quality build. So it's a requirement for RIDE to move forward with the project. We've used Peregrine Group in the past. They do an excellent job. We appreciate their work. They work well with the contractors we've had on site in the past, so we seek your approval to approve this contract this evening.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved?
I'll second it.
So any discussion? Mr. Dakotas?
Besides switching over my career into a senior project manager at 150 an hour, no, I think this is pretty straightforward, and I think this group has a very good reputation, right?
They do.
Very highly recommended, so thank you.
Mrs. Pavo?
I'll set.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes,
I vote yes, motion passes. Okay, thank you. Next is old business, item 6A, Safety Committee, Subcommittee of the School Committee, possible vote. This is under my name, although, Peter, I'm going to ask you to
Sure.
tell us where things are with this.
So as you recall, you voted unanimously to establish the safety committee. Then there was conversation about the safety committee being a subcommittee of the school committee. And as a result, then you wanted to have elections to see who would serve on that committee, most likely 2 members, or it wouldn't be a quorum. So that's where you left it, to come back and pick your 2 members.
Oh, I was one of the members.
Yes.
was it Diane?
I think Deb was absent for the meeting.
Right, I
we're
don't
talking
think you
about.
actually voted it, though.
No.
You discussed
did
it.
not.
We didn't vote because we said.
Right, we
bring
punted it
we'd
because-
Bring it back.
Oh,
Right.
well, actually, we don't usually vote for subcommittees. We just volunteer unless there's some rabid contention about who gets to do it. Like,
I think Diane wanted to wait until Deb was here because she thought she was interested. Is that?
Yeah.
and
she
instead,
had
we waited
time.
until they were both not here. Well,
If I remember the conversation, I think that's what it was.
I think you're right, actually, now that
That's what she said.
now that you're saying that.
But
I think that's why we
I
waited.
guess I was just
Yeah.
so anxious to be on it.
why do you, well, can you only have one person? Can there
No,
be
you
2
can have
people?
two.
No,
two,
there's-
You theoretically can have, well, you can't really have 3 because then you get into all
Then you
kinds
get
of
to
problems.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, the original intention was that there would be 2. So do you want to do it?
I don't want to do it, no.
No?
No.
Okay. Well,
Do you
yes,
want
if there are no, aren't two volunteers, then you are left with one. That's usually how those things work.
Well, I really did think Diane was interested, but she wanted
Deb to be here.
not to
Deb, yeah.
make
Okay.
that decision without Deb here.
Well, why don't we wait till they come back? Although, did you send out a solicitation for?
You approved the solicitation, I haven't sent it out, waiting for, see who's going to
Oh.
be there.
My view, just my view, I would go ahead and send it out. I would like to get that committee up
Okay.
and running personally. I don't think you need to have the designated school committee members on it until, because there may only be one.
Okay, be out tomorrow.
Okay? That's any, well, and that's just my.
No? And we have a
personal
meeting next
opinion.
Tuesday, correct? Do we have a meeting next week? No?
School committee?
Who, us?
Yeah? No?
Unless you really
Did I
want
scare
one.
you all?
Just made us think.
I still have it in my calendar.
We were at some point thinking about having, I mean, not in this, well, we can discuss committee meeting times. We were at one point thinking about having a later meeting in case we needed to take additional action.
Right.
Based on the adoption of the final budget, which actually I think we will move to 6B, FY '24 budget update. Dr. Sanchioni.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yes, let's give you an update of where our budget currently resides. Thank you, Marco. Great job bringing up a few slides. So all the numbers and figures up here should look very familiar to you. This is some of the work you did last time. Just to give us a starting point, we came in with a projected level service budget, and I'll use round numbers, 36.2 million. You may recall that was everything we're doing this year, just moving it ahead another year. Once we started seeing what state revenue was, and once we got to know that there was only a 3% increase by the state, which ended up being a 1.2%. Town, excuse me, 1.2% increase overall. You did vote 2 levels of reductions last time. I'll show those momentarily. That was both in the personnel side, on the expense side. So that brought the level service budget, it's really not level service anymore because we're cutting services, but a budget down to 35.6 million. That number is the number we'll be working with. Just to refresh your memory, we cut from expense accounts 253,000. From technology, professional development, rental of equipment, general supplies and materials, and electricity. And again, you voted this last time we met. I'm just refreshing your memory here. Again, all these are from accounts that have been trimmed in the past. It just makes everything a little bit more difficult for us. And then we cut from personnel, and we cut another $389,000 from personnel. That ended up being 6 positions, 2 secretaries, 2 teacher assistants, 1 teacher, and the director of communications. So when you add the reductions, go back quick, Marco, from expenses, the 253, and from the personnel, that was that 642 number that I'd referenced on the first slide. On May 23rd, you voted to use $1.3 million to, again, help us get to that $35 million budget. You have 2 choices of funds to use. You actually didn't designate at the time, but just to use an overall $1.3 million. You have fund balance at a little over $1 million and Medicaid at a little over $800,000. By using $1.3 million, you will preserve $600,000 in those accounts, knowing that the Medicaid will continue to grow once the school year starts again next year. And so this is sort of the final thing. The budget that we were allocated from the town at 3% with state aid reduction was $34,264,336. You added $1,310,030 from fund balance or Medicaid. Again, bringing our true operating budget to $35.5 million, a number I keep showing you. So there's a number that's on the books at $34.2 million, but there's an actual number of $35 million that, again, we've got to keep that in our mind. It helps us this year to move forward with the money you allocated from one-time funds, but we know that next year that's going to present a problem unless we find a solution to how to close that structural deficit again. And I guess it's just worth reiterating that, budget's about priority. We appreciate the support we get from the town. It's unfortunate state aid was cut, but we made cuts. And sometimes people say, do you really do these things? And because we've cut positions in the past 2 years, we cut 6 more positions this year, and we trimmed another $300,000 out of expense accounts. That is facts, and that gets us And you use 1.3 million in one-time revenue, and we have a $35.5 million budget. So that's the update. That's how we currently reside. Any questions, we're happy to answer.
And just to sort of clarify everything for us, these votes were already taken. We took them in May.
You did.
And it was to balance to the 3% expected final budget to be adopted by the town council, which they did last night. So that is,
That would be that top number there, then what the
Yeah.
town council approved.
yeah. And it was the actual income that went up that actually made our
State aid go down.
go down. It was not
Actually, it was two factors, medium income of the town rose and the
real value.
property value
Yeah.
of real houses. Yeah.
So even though people may not feel like it from the state's point of view, we're actually a little bit richer than we were last year. Our rates of free and reduced lunch did not go down, and our enrollment didn't go down significantly enough, or really didn't go down to impact the funding formula. So, okay, any other questions from anybody else on that item?
Can I ask Amy one question?
Sure.
Can you remind me what year the bus contract is in? Is this the last year coming up? Do you know offhand?
I believe it's 26.
26.
It was a 5-year.
Oh, it was a 5-year?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I'm sorry, it may be 20, it's a 5-year contract, and I can't remember, and it went into effect 21, so it'll be 25 is when it,
So this budget's 23, 24.
correct.
So we'll have one more after that.
Correct.
2 more years.
2 more years from now.
although to your point, Mike, it is energy, transportation, and healthcare that have driven most of our real increases. It's not been
Special
salary up
education.
until this
Yeah,
last
special.
year.
That's my thought is,
Yeah.
the 2-year, we talked about this before, energy, bus, healthcare. So in 2 years, this
And
number could be
special education.
astronomically
Correct.
in the whole.
Again, if, hoping we get more than one bidder. As we know, historically, there's typically only been one bid per district. Although I believe there's interest from another company at that time. But, it remains to be seen. And I'm sure at that point, escalation in terms of fuel and everything, every other cost as it's going up for inflation will also go up. And I believe their proposal will reflect those increases.
Okay. Unless there's other questions, I'll move on to item 6C, FY23 budget update. Ms. Roderick?
Thank you, Dr. Larkin. I'm not going to bring it up on the screen. I find it difficult for people to read up on the screen, but it should be in your packets. This is the usual budget to actual report that I give you just about every month. And just as a point of information, so this is through May 31st. We will have 2 more payrolls, including summer payroll for the teachers and so forth. That will be hitting in June. Same thing for the benefits. We'll have benefits and withholdings and so forth for the 2 payrolls in June. And scrolling down, you can see that there are some variances to budget for purchase services, utilities, supplies, that sort of thing. Again, those are just a reflection of either direct needs for students or cost increases. Pointing out the other services line, that's all for the architectural firm that we've employed so far, and some of that will be reimbursed through the school building authority. Scrolling down, everything is pretty much self-explanatory. I can go over line items if you have any questions in particular. What I did want to point out, if you go down to the bottom, I sort of have that summary box, and it shows that we have grant reimbursements pending. We've been able to move a significant amount of our operating expenses over to the grants, and we only have a couple left that we have to clear up on the books. As far as the capital goes, that number hasn't changed for most of the year. We did just receive a number of invoices from Martone for all of the bathroom work, but we received those in June, so you will see those expenses in June. And if you can see that the percentage spent to date under operations is 83.7 versus 83.9 last year. We are right on target for where we were, and I fully expect that we will come in right on budget. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but certainly I'm not expecting any surprises at this point.
Okay, great. We like a lack of surprises when we're talking about the budget.
I beg your pardon?
Said we like a lack of surprises when we're talking
Again,
about
I'm
the
not
budget.
expecting any, so all the rabbits are staying in the hat.
Okay. Any questions from my main members of the committee? Mrs. Pavo?
No.
Mr. Dakotas?
No.
And thank you, Amy.
You're
for the
welcome.
explanation. Next is item 6D, revision to the approved 2023-2024 school calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in your
Sanchioni.
packet, I am providing you another calendar for the 23-24 school year. The calendar that we submitted to RIDE was not approved. They've decided that they're no longer going to grant districts early release days. It was quite a surprise to a lot of my superintendent colleagues and so forth as we plan our year with professional development and how we operate around those, but they were adamant that was not going to happen anymore. What they did offer us, though, was the ability to take 3 professional development days during the school year as part of the 180. Now, if you're sitting there thinking like I was thinking, yep, I had the same
What?
reaction, that it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? And I actually had a conversation with the commissioner, and I said that you take 3 days away, we remove educational opportunities, we deny students lunch and breakfast, we make it difficult for parents. I said in Tiverton, we've done early release days, they work fine, it's the same amount of time. It's a much better way to go about educating our students and getting the right PD to our staff. And that request was denied on a second time. So the calendar I'm presenting to you today needs to take advantage of those 3 days because we need to finish the science of reading training with our staff, and we had some other training for the other portion of our staff that we feel is very important too. So on this calendar here, you'll see it's pretty clean. There's no early release days, things like that. There are 3 full-day professional development. The first one is on October 20th. The second is January 12th. And the third is April 2nd. And if you're looking at a calendar that might have April 23rd, I'm hoping you're not. But if you are, we literally just learned today that the presidential primary has moved to April 2nd. So we want to take April 2nd as one of those days because our students can't be in school anyways.
So will it go from the 23rd to the 2nd?
23rd to the 2nd, yes.
So then they would, instead of now having 177 days, they would have 178 days.
Nope, they'll have
Students.
177, because we'll
Which is-
count the 2nd as a work day for our teachers, because our teachers will work that day.
Okay, so it doesn't make any difference. So the students will still be in school now 177 days
For
instead of
next year, for
180.
177, and, I know there's a lot of, us trying to appeal this and see if we can get the correct changes made for next school year.
So what was the,
What was the rationale?
yeah,
The rationale behind that?
There is a statute that says that a day can be no less than 5.5 hours, and that's basically almost a full day. And basically, they said to us, if you have any day on your calendar that's less than 5.5 hours, we will not count it. And so that required us to take out, another half day that we had in there around Christmas. Our high school's going to have to scramble now with exams. We're not going to be able to take early release days for exams.
Oh,
So that was the rationale. You know, it's interesting, though, that we've submitted these calendars in the past and always had them approved. Why everything's changing, that I didn't get a good answer to.
So is the statute already always on the books and just not really observed in that
Yeah,
regard?
Exactly.
And have all the districts in Rhode Island kind of done it like this, and now everybody's sort of needing to do it differently?
Yeah. Well, I can just speak for a few of the East Bay communities superintendents who I speak to. They've had to make the same changes we're making.
So,
And how long were the early release days? I'm just sort of curious. How long so when we did it this year and they had early release and then professional development, I can't remember.
Oh, they're like they're about, let's round it off to 3 hours.
yeah, about three.
Yeah, about 3.
About three.
Okay.
So the days that will now be non-school days, those will be the PD days?
Yep, those 3 days
Those
will be
days.
non-school for students, work days for staff.
Right, the staff. But does that limit our PD because there are only 3, unless it's done?
It's brought it back by, I think we calculated about 4 hours, but, you know, it's all we can get, so we need to take it. We've already contracted our trainers, both on the side of the science of reading and the people doing the training for the high school, middle school staff. They're working with us. They're able to accommodate these days.
That's like having full-day PD.
Full-day PD,
And
which we've done in the
think,
past.
Personally, my own personal opinion, I think that's a very long day for teachers, with doing PD, full days. I don't think a lot of thought consideration was put into that.
Just out of curiosity, are some districts then opting to not do professional development?
Oh, gosh.
That doesn't seem like a very good idea,
Not
but
that-
I'm just
that-
curious.
I can't speak for the entire state. I can only speak for the few superintendents I spoke to, and they're taking this option. Yeah, but because we're all in the same boat with the science of reading, and we're all in the same boat with other things we have to do.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the new proposed calendar.
Motion to approve the new 2023-2024 school calendar.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Ask for a vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes,
I'll vote yes.
Thank you.
Always interesting. All right, so we're up to item 7, future meeting dates, agenda topics. So we have a meeting scheduled for July 5th right now. I think that's our only meeting in July. I assume we're going to keep that, even though it's after the 4th, but I think we need that meeting because we will need to, so when did we say the building committee was going to meet? July 5th?
We didn't, but that's probably what we're going to need to do.
Yeah. Because we'll need a recommendation from them about the projects and how we will go forward with the stage 2 if we do.
Yep.
And then also probably if we have anything from the town council
Well,
on
the
the
building
casino money.
committee actually voted to just keep it at the 12 million and leave it up to the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
administration. So I think we probably could not have, I think it's going to be tough to get a building committee on July 5th. And technically, I don't think you have to. They voted, and it's up to you now to actually, accept
Yeah,
the
we
approved
did vote.
projects.
Okay.
The only other thing, well, I don't think you'll need the building committee, is if the town council does meet that Monday prior and allocate the casino revenue, then you'll need to finalize that.
You mean the
that-
26th?
The 26th, yes. Finalize that project, but again, that's, the building committee's already approved that too, so. you're-
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, anyway, so right now we have a meeting on July 5th, and unless people want to meet sooner than that, maybe every day. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns about meeting dates or anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to ask for a motion to move into an executive session under Rhode Island General Law 4246 5A3, review school safety plans and high school report.
so moved.
Second.
Ask for a roll call vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so we are in executive.